Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. My name is Ryan Buck, and in this tutorial we will be going over the Design Staff Hour Estimation Forms, tab 22, Signalization Plans. This version of the Signalization Plans tab was released in September of 2023, so we'll be going over the September 2023 release and updates. As you can see, the tab looks similar to the recent updates. It's in our new calculator version. I'll go over that and how it works. Again, you can see that you can enter in the names of the FDOT district, consultant person that's negotiating this component, as well as their signature and date. Off to the right is a how to use this form. There's a link to the video tutorial library, including this video tutorial, as well as a how to use form, which we'll cover in this video training. Now at the bottom right is my name and my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, find any issues with the sheet, or just have any recommendations on how we can make it better for you. So let's get started. I'm going to zoom in real quick right here, and we'll go over how this form is used in each task that is in tab 22. So the first thing is in this calculated version is we're going to input project parameters about our project, being units of lump sum, or quantities or length of the project, and we can also select complexities of task or complexities of the project, and that it will then, if we tell it some project parameters about our project specifically, it will use the staff hour estimation guidelines to calculate a estimate of staff hours required based on the units that you told, based on the established guidelines. Those guidelines are published on the Scope and Staff Hour website along with these forms. It will then be the job of the department, staff, and the consultant to determine if the calculated staff hours are appropriate for their specific job, and they will have to negotiate either higher or lower. If they're not appropriate, they'll have to determine what the appropriate staff hours should be. So the first thing we'll do when filling out this form to start an initial estimate is there's a question at the top of what is the overall project complexity, and it says see signalization guidelines. So the signalization guidelines are right here, and as you can see we have a low range, rural 2-lane projects, mid-block traffic signals. We've got a middle range, rural, urban, multi-lane, and then we've got an upper range, which would be an urban multi-lane. Then after we determine what range we're in as far as overall project complexity, you can come back to the signal plans. There's a drop down right here in the red square that you would select. So we'll say for an example that we have a mid-level project for this project. As you can see, when you select that, it goes ahead and fills in the project complexity selected for the task that use project complexity as a factor to estimate the calculated hours. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. So you can see it filled mid, and it did not fill in this one, and I'll get to that in just a second. So tab 22 is the first 22.1. Task 22.1 is the key sheet and signature sheet. So in this case, we'll click the cell for the unit, and it just asks us a simple question, and it'll pop up, is a key sheet required? 1 is yes, and 0 is no. So if you didn't have a key sheet, you would leave that at 0, but if you do, you would enter in a 1 right here, and as you can see, some hours will populate over here in the calculated estimate. So 4 hours for a key sheet. And then the next line item in 22.1 is a signature sheet required, and you would do a 1 or a 0 too, so we'll say we have a 1. Now there is a note here, if the key sheet's not required, then no hours will be given for the signature sheet. So if you leave this at 0 and you say key sheet, you'll get 0, it'll recommend 0 hours. You got to have the key sheet to have the signature sheet. 22.2, the general notes and pay item notes. So would you have general notes and a pay item note sheet on this project? You would click 1 or 0. Again, you can see that this red square hasn't been filled out. This is based on the complexity of the general notes and pay item sheet. So it's going to be the task complexity, either simple, standard, or complex. It doesn't rely on the project complexity. So maybe you have a really complex project, but you only have a few notes, and so that would be a simple task, right? And vice versa. Maybe you had a pretty simple overall project, or a low overall project, but you had lots of unique notes, and you could put complex for that one. It would recommend it. The next line item is 22.3 signalization plan sheets. This is based on signalized intersections. So it asks for the estimated number of intersections that require new or replacement signals. So I'm just going to pick a number for the sample project that we have 4 signalized intersections in the project. And we already established that it's mid-project complexity, and it recommends 16 hours for those signalization plan sheets. 22.4 is interconnect plan sheets. This is based on length, and you can see right here in the units that there's a decimal point. Anytime you see decimal points, it's either going to ask for length or area. In this case, it's asking for length of the project, where interconnect plans are required, and this is in miles. See right there in miles. So let's just say we have a 2-mile stretch for interconnect plans, and it recommends hours. 22.5 is traffic monitoring sites. So in this case, you'd have sites that with loop detection, or you'd have sites that use other forms of detection. It looks like video or other types. So let's just say in 2 of the intersections we do loops, and 2 we do video. Alright, there's a good example of how that works of our 4 intersections. 22.6 is the guide sign data, so sign panels. Estimated number of sign panels that must be imported from the guide sign program. Let's say that we have 8. Alright. 22.7 is special details. So you can see that there's 3 rows right here for special details, and you can either have a simple details, you could have standard details, or you could have complex details. And so it wants you to fill out the estimated number of details. So a simple detail right here defined, and this is per the guidelines, no engineering analysis. So PED poles, VVH data foundations, department. Let's say we have 4 of those details. Standard details are such things as signal, sign attachment details, communication, wiring diagrams, so on and so forth. So we have 6. And then your complex details, so it hovers over there, would be highly unique based on new technologies. We'll just say we have 1 of those. And that's how you'd fill that out, each detail and the complexity of the detail. 22.8 is service point details. So you could have a simple, and that's defined in the pop-up box as a retrofit or modified service point. So we have 2. Or you could have standard, which looks like a new service point. Again, these are also defined in the guidelines, so if you want further information, you can open up the guidelines and read those sections on service point details or any of these tasks. 22.9, mast arm or monotube data. So we've got our mast arms. So this would be estimated number of single mast arms, and this would be the estimated number of double mast arms. So we'll say that we have 4 double mast arms right here. All right. And let's just say we don't have any single mast arms. We leave that at 0. 2210 is the strain pole schedule. This is based on spans, so estimated number of spans needed for the project. Let's just say we need 2. All right. 2210 is temporary traffic control signal. So this would be the intersections without PED signals. So estimated number of intersections that temporary signal installation without pedestrian signals is required. And this one would be with ped signals right here. All right. And then we've already had our project complexities. That's based on the mid that we selected up here, and it carried down here. All right, 22.12 is the temporary detection sheet. It is based on your intersections, intersections with temporary detection. All right, then we get our technical subtotal of 270 hours is what's recommended. Again, you'll have to go through these and see if they are appropriate for your specific job, and then you can document anything you need to over these columns. 20.13 and 2014 are QA/QC and supervision, your non-technical hours right here, and they default leave at 1 or 0, but you can change this to 0 for some reason. You weren't awarding any hours for these tasks, but they're default on 1, and it's also locked at 5%, so it's going to calculate 5% of all of these subtotals right here. And if for some reason you don't want to use 5%, you don't have to. You could use 3%, you could use 7%. You could put that in the documentation over here. You can calculate 7% of 270 or 7% of the negotiation, and you can enter it in right here where the red font 0 is. It's going to automatically calculate it. There's an equation for 5%, but you could just delete that and enter in the appropriate staff hours that you negotiate for those two line items. So that's how that works. It'll all total up and sum up down here at the bottom, and this will carry over to your summary tab, where you can start distributing the hours appropriately. Again, my name's Ryan Buck. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for watching this video tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it.